Now, let's talk about how to make 2023 our little bitch, or a little bit more practical, how to be the CEO of 2023 in your own right. So, I'm just going to take you a very simple step by step system that I have developed, which I think is going to give you the most success over the coming year and to prevent yourself from being in the same stage in the next 12 months, thinking, oh, another year wasted. I wasn't consistent. So, the first thing is hows are irrelevant. Whys are everything. What on earth does that mean? So let's start up here. Why? You have to have a why, my friend. Usually, 9 times out of 10, people fail to stick with their goals because they're not emotionally charged with some strong sense of rationality. Simply put, people don't change if there's no motivation behind it. They will never change if there's no motivation behind it. So revolving your why around material possessions are dumb. They're stupid. They're very child level thinking and rationality. If you have written already that you want a new car in 2023, or you want a new fancy chain in 2023, you'll never get it because it's not charged with any emotion in it. There has to be a greater sense to it. It has to be compelling for you to do. So I'm mentioning emotion here and charged and compelling. You want the emotion. You want the emotional attachment because emotion is energy in motion. It has to fuel. It has to mean something on a very kind of intrinsic and intimate level. You have no attachment to material possessions because they're not charged with these things. The status might be, how you're perceived might be, but that is ultimately how you want to be addressing your goal setting. So you want to be taking your time to write down an emotionally charged why before you even think about establishing concrete goals. So I'll go through a couple of examples here. These are some good examples. I'll never get the woman I want if I'm not the man she needs me to be, right? So, people will start saying things like, okay, let's take the previous examples, like, oh, I want a chain to attract a woman. Well, why? Because I want to be associated with a high status man who can get the kind of woman that you want. Well, why? Because you'll never get the woman you want if you're not the man you need to be, right? Number 2, I'll live in my parents' home forever and lose all my social circles, right? Again, a lot of these are charged with negative emotion. I'll get sick and die, right? And I know it's starting on a pretty depressing note, but you have to understand that we're more sensitive towards survival mechanics. So we should be leveraging them. We are only here because of our ancestors' sensitivity to the fact that, we might get mauled by a saber-toothed tiger or mauled by a bear, right? We're sensitive towards it because our life is dependent on it. And in the same way, you want to organize your goals, you want to organize your why on the fact that, hey, you might get sick and you might die if you don't quit smoking. You might get sick and you might die if you keep eating shit. You might never get the girl that you want if you keep on these debilitating habits or not establishing some of these good habits. So establish strong whys that are grounded in survival mechanics. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is, what is going to be the biggest contributor to that long-term change? And it has to be accountability. Rarely people will change if they're not held socially accountable to it. So if you're really serious about the change that you wanted to see in your life, you would tell everybody, right? And even now, the prospect of posting on your Facebook or posting on your Instagram that I'm going to be 25 pounds lighter in the next 3 months might be a daunting idea. But the social stigma, the social accountability, the social element is so powerful because it keeps you to that goal. So how do we exercise accountability principle in our own lives? Well, I've already talked about 1, leveraging social media. If you were really serious about quitting your job, you would tell everybody in your workplace that you're going to quit your job. Because if you don't, they're going to be saying, it's interesting you said a couple of months ago that you're going to quit that job. Hasn't happened yet, has it, mate? So you're accounting on that social persuasion. You can find partners and groups. Maybe you tell, a close relative of yours, your father, your mother, your sister, your brother, or you join a group of likewise men who are doing the same goal as you. If you do want to join a likewise group of men, actually, free Discord channel in the below where you can join myself and nearly 2,000 other men doing the kind of things that we want to see, bring ourselves closer to the highest version of ourselves. And you'd also publish the progression that you are making. So maybe you publish your fitness journey, if you're losing a pound here, 2 pounds here, 5 pounds here, what you look like. This is really powerful, guys. Really powerful. And by the way, when I said I was going to quit my job and do things online, I fucking told everybody about it. And it's worked out pretty well for me so far. Let's segue on to number 3. So, structure quarterly, monthly, not yearly. Now, planning is really, really important in respects to the timeline that you are going to actualize these goals. So you want to have these, again, time constrained. Realize all your realized goals will stretch dependent on the time that you allocate to them. So a good way to look at this is in this following example here. Let's say you said to yourself, I'm going to make an extra £1,000 in the next year. $1,000 in the next year, right? That's a lot different to you have to make an extra $1,000 in a month, right? And your survival mechanics, your thought process will be working overtime in order to meet that goal. So needless to say, your system varies greatly. The system that you employ varies greatly dependent on the outcomes and will prevent procrastination if and only if you have that strong why, okay? So it's not an extra $1,000 a month, which is going to be your goal. It's the prospect of maybe I can go part-time in my work. Maybe I can see more of my family, more of my friends. Maybe I can go on a holiday, whatever the fuck is your personal emotionally charged idea. So I typically structure things quarterly. So Q1, Q2, Q3. Reverse engineer your outcomes. This might be the most powerful thing out of all of them, right? So action paralysis is often a symptom of not getting to where you want to go. People have the resources, they have the time, they have the energy, not always, but they rarely just don't know what to do with them. So it's like, again, it's like a car in mud. The wheels are spinning, but you're not going anywhere because you don't know where to go. So the best thing to do is to work backwards from where you want to go. So let's say you want to be more attractive to women. Okay, I want to be more attractive to women. I want a girlfriend. I don't want to be alone. Again, emotionally charged. How do we do that? So first we need to establish, what do women find attractive? Okay, they find men who are physically attractive, maybe more muscle, less fat, men who are financially independent, and men who have high social status, right? Let's just pick one of these. Let's just pick physical attractive. Okay, so how do we get physically attractive? Well, let's say we do resistance training 3 times per week, and we need to also consider our nutrition, right? Resistance training 3 times per week. I'm going to do pushing patterns one day, pulling patterns another day, leg patterns another day. Pushing patterns. Let's say I do bench press, incline dips, incline press, dips, tricep extension, cable crossover. So you got, the clavicular head of the pec. You got the mid head, and you got the lower head. Incline, middle, and then dips for your lower. You got triceps extension, cable crossovers for the pec minor. Right. So we're getting to semantics here, but and I know this is very simple, but you can do this for anything. I know I picked a really simple example here, but you can start to see the synthesis of your daily actions. So just doing a bench press, right, on your pushing pattern day once a week will make you more physically attractive. Women will find that attractive. You'll be more attractive to women. You won't be alone anymore. You'll have, more emotional connection. So you can start to see how everything can be tied down to those minutiae actions that you're taking every single day, right? And you can do this for anything. You can do it from financially independent. Well, how do I get financially independent? La 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 la. Social status, again, la 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 la. And then it's all just, and by the way, the reason this is so powerful is conviction. Conviction. You have a clear logic, process of logic that shows you intimately that when I am doing dips at the gym, I am becoming more attractive to women, and there's less of a chance that I'm going to spend my life alone. Bold statement, but you can't argue with the chain of logic. And then once you tie that here, once you tie dips to, again, dips will stop you being alone forever, right? It makes you convict more when you go to the gym. Like, you need to have that why. It goes back to here. You need the how is irrelevant. Why? Because I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be alone, right? I hope that makes sense. Now, the more detailed you can make this, the smoother and more powerful your systems will be in order for you to achieve this. So the more specific you can be on the outcomes, the better your conviction will be ultimately in your systems as a consequence of that. And then finally, guys, evaluate and celebrate your systems. So simple one here, negative reinforcement is very, very powerful. So we start a lot on negatives, on being alone, on not being the man that we want to be. But there is a neurochemical benefit to sitting in the seat of victory towards positive reinforcement, because it will condition your reward system to repeat that behavior. So savor your wins, because it's going to make you want to do them again once you get that feedback. So whenever I do, make a sale, whenever I do look in the mirror and I like what I see, I take a pause, I drink it in, and I savor that neurochemical reaction that's happening, because it's going to condition me to repeat the systems again and again and again and again. And if you're not winning, then there's something wrong with your system, or your goals are too diffuse. So this is your system, right? These are your systems, right? If I'm not getting the result I want, something's wrong here. Maybe I'm at the peak of my physical attractiveness, but I'm not financially independent, or I don't have any social status, or my social skills are poor. So it's, and by the way, it's not just these three. There are many different facets you can go into. So it's all about, if you're not getting the results you want, if I'm not attractive to women, something's going wrong here. I need to fix something here. So that, my friends, is how you make 2023 your little bitch, and how you become the CEO of it. As with all things, if you take what is valuable, discard which is not, and I hope you guys have an awesome 2023. I'll be on the lookout for you. Take care.